It's WebComic Wednesday. We finished a page last week. Well, not on stream, but I finished a page last week. So that means we start a new page today. And this one's like mostly laid out already, so it's just gonna be, I think tonight's gonna be mostly sketching. But the new page is up on DeviantArt, Webtoons, and Tapas. So for your webcomic reading pleasure. So this is a very action-packed sort of page. It's the start of an action sequence and I'm so excited because I get to draw magic. I love drawing magic. Oh my god. I mean, was it last year I did an event where, like a teenager, because at most events, I have a little sign up with the QR code to my comic. So, like, people can, like, read it. And this teenager, like, scanned the code, and I think it was, like, maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. I was fighting a cold at that event, so time's a weird soup at that point in time. But like their mom came up to me at some point and was like, they read the entirety of your comic that you have available and they love it. And then I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Then I was sitting there going like, that's 7 years of my life and they read it in an hour. I don't want to think about it. Because, like, on average, a page takes, like, 8 to 10 hours to make from start to finish. I'm glad. There are times I look back on, like, the early, like, the first chapter or so. Yeah, like the first two chapters of Tale of Cain, if I were to redo them, like, there are just some minor changes I would make, honestly. Nothing, like, chapter 1, I definitely change up, like, a specific flower to just medicinal herbs. I would redesign the dryad completely at this point. Honestly, one of my favorite things about webcomics is that you get to see the artist grow in, like, their skills and trying to figure out, like, what works for them. And, like, the story in it, like, just watching an artist grow is great. I've always liked webcomics. I've been reading... Oh, I gotta read that page, actually. There's this one comic that I've been reading since I was, like, 18, 19 years old. I know I was out of high school when I discovered it. Called Bittersweet Candy Bowl. And it's about cartoon cats and high school drama. It gets pretty heavy at some spots, but like, and the art style has changed so much since I first started reading it. Because one of the first pages were um, like pencil drawings on lined notebook paper. And then there was a phase for a couple of years where the artist did like all of the pages in watercolor. That was a fun phase. And now they're like on a very simple, like they've simplified their style slowly, but to better suit a 3 times a week update schedule with digital art. And it looks really good. Like they've improved so much. I think I have the first 2 omnibuses of that comic physically on my shelf. Pretty sure one of them a friend gave me for Christmas, and the other one I backed the Kickstarter for, but I don't know, I don't fully remember. But I have the first 2 volumes of that webcomic on my shelf. I have like a small section of my bookshelf that's all webcomics I have read and that have a physical release, whether it's through a big publisher or indie published, like a Kickstarter sort of deal. I have them. Like I have a whole section. Have I read the physical copies? Most likely not, but they look good on my shelf. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels on this page. Oopsie doopsies. It's fine. It's an action sequence. But actually, I'm gonna since I talk so much about that particular comic, I'm gonna link it. Alright, I wanna just... Yeah, so... The art has changed for like the first chapter of this comic a lot since it started. Like the artist redid the earlier chapters, so like it's not the pencil drawings on lined paper anymore, but it still has the feel of the earlier pages. So okay, let's actually get started before I ramble on about webcomics and comics again. Alright. Hope y'all have been having a good week so far. Okay. Dress is kind of like going. I think we're gonna have to. I have to find reference for this because skirts. There's a reason why most of my characters wear pants. They're easier to draw than skirts. Skirts. Okay, so it's like coming up. There we go. That's a good shape. I finally get to draw these, like, character. Oh. I was designing this character one of the last times I pet sat for my mom. Louie was on the desk with me while I was working on these. I really want to do, like, not that I have time, but, like, I wouldn't mind at least redrawing a couple pages of the first chapter, just to see the difference in, like, how I do things. Because, like, back when I first started Tale of Cain, like, God, almost 9 years ago, it's been published for about 8. I've been posting it for about 8 years now, come March. But I think I worked on it for like a couple of months before I started posting pages. I wanted to actually have a buffer when I first started posting it. Now I'm just, I can't get back to a buffer right now. So I'm just like, pages get posted when they get posted, sort of thing. But yeah, I was working on Tale of Cain before it was publicly available. And I had, like, a beta reader at the time who would, like, I'd have go over my sketches and, like, give feedback. And then it just proved like, one, I felt bad I couldn't pay them for their time and skill. Secondly, it just became unwieldy because of the pace I wanted to keep at the time. That looks better. Because, I've been wanting to do, comics since I was, like, God, like, middle school? At least that's when it, like, solidified. And I had a teacher in high school who did their own webcomic. It was more of, like, a comedy slice of life comic. I don't know if they do it anymore, but I remember going to, like, cartooning club, anime club at the time, and, like, drawing some of my OCs. Because it was, like, my first cartooning club of high school. I was a new kid to the school. I didn't really have any friends yet. So, like, I was just sitting alone at a desk in this classroom drawing. Oh, I think it was one of my OCs for my superhero concept at the time. I was drawing, like, this professor-esque character, and the teacher noticed, and they were like, oh, you're using, like, the guidelines to, like, draw the anatomy of the face. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's what this book I have tells me I should be doing. And then, like, throughout the years while I was in high school, they were giving, like, a lot of good, like, advice on, like, you know, if you want to do a webcomic, have, like, a 6-month buffer, for as frequently as you want to upload. And when I first started Tale of Cain, it was very much, I wanted to do 2 days a week, 2 uploads a week. And then I think I maintained that for most of the first chapter, and then it dropped off. Because it's hard. Because some of the webcomics I read, the Bittersweet Candy Bowl, they're 3 times a week. They're Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Plus whatever they have going on Patreon, which I'm not subscribed to their Patreon. And then there's other comics I read where they update once a week and take like a short hiatus between chapters. And then there's other comics that I read. Most of the webtoon ones I read are pretty consistent with their updates. Granted, I tend to read my pages on webtoon in batches. So like when I'm reading a comic on webtoon or any platform, I'm very much like, I will let you upload pages for a couple of months and then I'm going to read them all at once. And then there's other comics that I read online where they might update once every 7 years. Because it's a passion, fun project for the creator, not something they want to make money off of or something. Like, it's not like a career thing for them, so. But I remember, like, there's this one webcomic I used to read back in high school. It was on DeviantArt. And I forget the name of it, but it was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan comic based off of the 2003 animated series. So it was a continuation of that. And it got dark. Like, it got heavy. But it was so good. And like they took inspiration, like they were taking from like inspiration and stuff from like the comic books and like in addition to the animated series, but the animated series like version of these characters was like the jumping off point. But it, like the story of that comic took place like 20 or so years after the events of the cartoon, and like Splinter was dead and all the Turtle brothers had like fractured off and like they got their own lives and they weren't like superheroes anymore. And it was like, I think Mikey was like an author or something. I don't know. It was good stuff. And then there was like a phase where I just read like a lot of Lion King fan comics. Just like fan fiction, history or like stuff based off of like the sequels and the books and everything. And the art was passable. It looked good enough, and they were good. They were simple. I think it was Teenage Mutant TMNT Gaiden or something. MNT Gaiden. That was one that I was reading on DeviantArt back in the day. That was a... like one of the webtoons I'm currently reading, called The Croaking. I think they just started their final season. I mean, Shrimpy, considering that you and I were active around the same time on DeviantArt, chances are we both read that comic. I mean, I'd go looking for it, but I don't even know if it's on DeviantArt anymore, and I gotta get work done tonight. I'm also trying to find time. Oh man. There's gonna be so much magic. It's gonna be have a little bit of drama. God, I love a good action scene. Granted, I did cut my teeth on comics doing Pokemon Nuzlocke comics. And I always liked drawing the Pokemon battles more in the Nuzlocke comic than I did, like, some of the I like the quieter moments when I worked on it, but I'm also like, I really just like a good action scene, a nice action sequence, you know? I'm also, right now, I'm literally counting down the days until I get my email from C2E2 of whether or not I got in this year or not. I have 5 days. I don't know until Monday whether or not I got in. This is what happens when you apply as soon as the applications are open. Because, like, the first year I applied to C2E2 was back in, like, 2022 for the 2023 show. Because C2E2 is a spring, like, late winter, early spring convention in my area. So it ranges anywhere from February through April. It depends on when the venue is available. So that means their applications open in, like, September or October. And they go through, like, November or January, depending. And the past 2 years, I've applied as soon as they were available, and I got waitlisted. The first time I applied I found out on the last day. One of my followers on, I think it was Instagram, sent me a message, and they're like, hey, C2H's applications are open. They closed, like, tomorrow. I didn't know if you knew. And I was like, I had alerts set and everything to get notifications about, like, when C2E2, like, posted saying their stuff was open, or the applications were open. And I didn't get those notifications. Anyway, I applied last minute. Like, I had, like, a day until the deadline. I applied, and I got in, like, right away. Not even waitlisted. In the past 2 years, I've applied, like, as soon as they open, and I've been waitlisted both times. And I'm like, part of me is like, maybe I should just wait to the last minute the next time just to see. And the other part of me is like, no, don't do that. Because what can happen is if they get too many applicants, like too many people apply, they could close them early. So, but I have some other shows possibly lined up for spring already. Like, there's a small Pokemon convention up in Wisconsin that I might have a spot in. So, God, how am I drew these horns. And I don't know how to draw them. I drew these months ago. I don't know how they work. 3D object in space? What? Okay, there we go. There we go. Horns are hard. There's a reason why I use 3D models. Because I struggle with visualizing 3D objects in space. Horns are tricky. Part of me is like, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be done. To figure out time when I can work on my other comic that I want to work on. Yeah, it's just a matter of finding time. There's this one like comic artist I follow online, and they do like they've done like a number of series. They did one about bird people. They have one right now that's more like supernatural with like witches and werewolves. And it's a very smutty series that I cannot post into chat. But like, I was like, dang, how do they crank out these pages? They're so good. And then I found I was like following them on socials for a bit. And I'm like, oh, they make big money off of this. And they have assistants. Like, they have people come in and help them work on their comics. So I'm like, God, that's great. That's awesome. Good for them. Okay. Hi, Mark. Welcome, welcome. Oh, this is gonna be a fun angle. Let's see how much of her face I'm actually gonna have to draw. These are pretty sleeves. it's a little tricky, but that's what the 3D models are for. I use the 3D models to help me keep things consistent, because also since my process is very fluid, using 3D models allows me to like tweak things, like really fine tune things, and like if I like do like a section of a page or do a page and then I realize I really don't like how it looks, I don't like the angle, I can change like the 3D reference to match better with what I want without having to like re-sketch everything. Just like keep her pinky out a little bit. Just do that real quick. There. I think it looks better with the pinky out. There we go, that looks better. Excuse me. Alright, so... Okay. Alright, that's one panel sketched.
Alright, that looks good enough. Hey.
Excuse me. Don't know why I'm so sleepy today. I woke up tired this morning. Oh no! God, I wish. I wish I was able to sleep that long. Sleep in that late. 3 o'clock this afternoon, I finally finished catching up on, like, all the emails at work. Work has been crazy. Work has just been bananas. Because, last week we had some pretty crazy weather that caused, quite a few of us to miss work. And, like, I think last Friday I didn't go in because I didn't trust the roads. And apparently one of my other coworkers didn't go in either, so it left my boss and my lead alone for all day. They had to finish very specific projects, so nothing went out on Friday like it was supposed to. And then Monday, my boss was out. And then it was just me and my lead, because one of my coworkers was having car problems. So it's just, we fell behind. We're still behind. I spent all of today just going through emails and calling people idiots. Because, one of the techs submitted the wrong form again. They submitted a replenishment request, and I was like, oh, hey, these parts you're asking for, I can't send them right now. And then he's like, this isn't a replenishment request, it's a parts to complete. Like, these are for a down machine, this is for service. And I'm like, well, submit the proper paperwork. Where is the outfit I'm looking for? It's gotta be here somewhere. It's just because, like, I hear my lead, he does, like, every week they have like several meetings with the regional service managers, and he is constantly reminding these people, like, hey, make sure your techs are asking for the right part to begin with, because you know, if you don't, there's going to be, like, delays in shipping the part. Because, what I do is that whatever they submit, goes on the form. So if they, like, ask for the wrong part, then they get the wrong part. Like, whatever they put on the form is what they get. And sometimes that means I tell them, hey, we don't have stock on this thing. Did I not do a outfit sheet for this character for this chapter? Let me try. Well, got this one. That's not the one I was looking for, though. Yeah, so like I had a couple of guys order like the wrong outlet cover. They keep ordering a discontinued one or something. Something we don't use on a regular basis. And I'm like, oh, so sorry, we don't have this one in stock right now. We'll source it from the field. And at that point, I'm like, we ain't doing shit because like it's not in the field. We don't have it in the warehouse. You'll just have to wait till it comes in an order. And then the managers will be all like, well, they asked for the wrong thing. They need the other thing. And like my superiors will be like, well, that's not what the tech submitted. So you know, they got that response because that's the part they ordered and it's not available. And they're just like, well, just fix it next time. That's clearly the wrong part. And we're like, no, that's not how this works. Because, like, the guy who submitted the replenishment request, and he's like, oh, this is for service. And I'm like, okay, well, you got to submit the correct paperwork. Sort of thing. And I was just like, it is your responsibility to submit the correct form. And ask for parts correctly. If you cannot be bothered to do that, I ain't fixing stuff behind the scenes for you. Exactly. It's more work for me. And, like, the regional, the RSMs are just like, oh, just fix it. If you know what's wrong, just fix it. And I'm like, and even my boss is like, no, it's one or the other. Like, we've fixed, quote unquote, fixed orders in the past of what we think they're actually ordering. And it turns out, no, the thing they originally put on the form is what they need. So we're like, okay, fine. Whatever you put on the form is what you need. But now they're like, oh, but you need to correct it if it's wrong. And we're just like, you can't have it both ways, guys. And God forbid we want people to do their job correctly the first time. God forbid. Yeah, so I got a little mouthy via email with one of the techs. And I'm like, it's your responsibility to submit the paperwork correctly. Because, like, one of the things I'm doing this year at work, I'm like, I'm not tolerating stupid anymore. I'm like, if you don't know how to do your job, I'm calling you out. And, like, the thing is, like, the guy who did it, he's been at the company longer than I have. And I'm like, you should know how to do this by now, dude. Like, you should know how to do this. I don't know how to draw shoes from underneath. It's whatever. I don't care. It's whatever. I don't care. It just needs to be done. I can work on it later. Right, I'm asking them to do the thing they're hired to do and they struggle to do that. So I'm just like... And the thing is, I've been fighting them for like over 3 years now. And I brought it up to my boss. I'm like, there is like zero improvement. At what point do we go, we're done trying to help you? You're on your own. If you don't know how to fill out your paperwork, that's a you problem. Because like my boss can't do anything about it directly because we're a different department technically. So... He's gonna have like little... So yeah, all my boss can do is tell the regional service managers who are actually in charge of the technicians to like, you know, communicate this with your guys and like, you guys have to do it this way and... Beyond that, we can't really do anything. And I'm like, this year, I'm gonna call you out. Like, I don't care if I get in trouble about it. Because I'm like, no, if these guys can't be competent enough to fill out their paperwork correctly, and their managers can't be bothered to do anything about it, then I'm going to just call them an idiot in front of everybody. Because, like, one of my previous jobs, I had, like, someone complain. It was a dumb complaint about, because, like, I had, like, an email, and I was, like, questioning, like, parts of the process, because I was new to the job. I just wanted clarification. And, like, I was actually raising some pretty good questions, and my boss at the time at that job was like, hey, can you, like, not do that? And I'm like, why? And they're just like, well, you're making this one other person that's in, you know, like, in regards to these emails, like, she feels that you're she feels stupid because you're making her feel stupid because of the questions you're asking, even though they're very, like, good questions. You're making her feel stupid. And I'm like, well, maybe if she'd stop doing stupid shit, I wouldn't have to be asking these questions. I'm not responsible for her feelings. If she feels dumb because I brought up a legitimate question, that's not my problem. Because, like, there's been an issue at work where, so, like, recently there's been a problem where a tech will submit a parts to complete service order with a service order number on it. But then, like, their dispatcher will send a separate email, like, an hour, 20 minutes later, being all like, oh, wait, this service order number is incorrect. This is the correct one. And I've told them several times, like, whatever is on the form upon submission is what goes on the order, like, the pick ticket. Like, because that's how we keep things organized within our system. And I'm like, if you guys are going to start fucking with the system, we're going to have a problem here, because then we're not going to be able to stay organized. And my boss addressed it in a meeting last week, and he followed up with me, because as this meeting's going on, it happened again. And I'm like, hey, tell them to cut it out. Please remind them how this is supposed to work. And so he sent me a message being like, oh, it's a miscommunication between the dispatchers and the regional service managers. And I'm like, okay, well, here's my understanding of the situation, is that the dispatchers are the ones who provide and generate the service order number for the paperwork. I fail to see how it's a regional service manager's purview to even do that in the first place. Like, I don't understand how this is, like, their issue to deal with. And it turns out the techs will be all like, feel like dispatch is taking too long, so then they go to their managers to get, like, the thing taken care of. And then I'm just like, so that, like, my boss was just like, yeah, so, like, the techs like, if they feel the dispatch is taking too long, they'll contact their RSM, and the RSM will get it to, like, generate the SO for them right away. And I'm just like, okay, so these RSMs can't even do their own job, and now they're trying to do somebody else's? I fail to see how this, like, why is this even why are they even doing this in the first place? This isn't their job, and they suck at doing their actual job. Like, they can't even do their own job. Why are they doing someone else's? It's ridiculous. Exactly. Like, it's... But I'm also, like, I've reached the point where it's like, okay, whatever you put on the form goes on whatever, and if it's wrong, then it's somebody else's problem now, because I'm tired of dealing with the same problems over and over again. I'm like, I've brought it up so many times, and there's no improvement, and I'm like, alright, I'm just gonna make this everybody else's problem now. I don't give a shit anymore. I swear, I had an outfit sketched out of this guy, and I can't... Did I forget? Ugh. Or did I just do it on the page like I've done in the past? But... whatever. I'm just gonna... I can fix it later if I need to. But... I do have the most recent page. Duh! I had the entire, most of the outfit sketched out there. What am I thinking? It's right here. I'm so dumb. I'm like sitting here trying to figure out how to draw this guy's outfit. Because I'm like, what did I do? And I'm like, duh, I did practically a full body of him in the last page. There we go. Now we're cooking. That is a good instinct to have. This is Rook, actually. I think I have their art. I have some art of them up. I just don't have a lot of lore on them yet readily available because I don't want to give away spoilers. Like, the friends I have had since before I started working on this project kind of know what Rook's deal is. It'll come up. Either towards the end of this chapter or in a future chapter. Dude, I'm excited when I finally get to that part. Like, I can't wait. That's like the trouble of sometimes of like having a comic where it's gonna take a while to get to reveal things, and I'm sitting here not chomping at the bit, being like, I have to get through, because like, Vanoran and Valira were supposed to come into the story later, and I'm just like, I had to get through 3 chapters before I got to introduce them. But I finally got to. And they're here. You're finally here. Yeah, the next goal for Vanoran is to get him into his, like, quote-unquote canonical outfit. It's the one where he's wearing the orange doublet. Is the outfit I've drawn him in the most. That's his canonical outfit. And I'm just like, I want to do at least a couple chapters where everyone is in, like, their full original outfits that I designed for them. Like, I want to get, Fenric in his leather armor and everything. Like, I need everyone to be in their, like, canonical clothes for at least a couple chapters. I love the orange outfit for, Vanoran. I've done a couple different takes on it where, like, some versions are fancier. It's like, if I do more of an illustration, like a one-off piece, I will embellish Vanoran's outfit a little bit more. But if it's like for the comic, I keep it as simple as I can. I keep it manageable. Because, like, the designs on his jacket right now, like, that's just a scaled pattern. It's nothing fancy. That's the thing. It's supposed to look fancy. Well, because Vanoran's a fancy guy. He's nobility. So, he's used to having, like, nicer things. Oh, I almost forgot his ponytail. Yeah, his dreads coming off the back. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be done. There we go. Oh, I still have his whole other arm over here. It was funny at work today. My big boss, our director of operations, was like, leaving the warehouse area after talking with my boss, and he's like, do you guys need anything from me? And I was just like, $1 million, please and thank you. Because $1 million would be life-changing money for me. And then the funny part is like, yeah, he's like, oh yeah, you would think like, you know, that'd be enough for you, but then like you get the lifestyle creep, and like, you know, instead of just like being happy with what you have, you're gonna like want like a mansion, you're gonna want like a Buick or a BMW. And I was just looking at it and I'm like, no, I don't want any of that. And he's like, what? And I'm like, no, like my car runs just fine, and the most I want is like a 3-bedroom townhouse with a decent HOA or some sort of lawn service so I don't have to do the yard work. I'm like, yeah, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That's all I want. And I didn't get into the specifics of why that's what I want. But the reason why 3-bedroom, 2-bath is 1 is bedroom, 2 is studio, 3 is guest room. And I'm like, that's all I want. I don't need... I'm like, what would I do with a big old mansion? That just sounds like a lot of work and upkeep. You know, like... I'm like, nah, I just want like a small little house or townhouse where I have enough room to do all of my art, and I have room for guests. So when my siblings come to visit, they have somewhere to sleep. That's all I want. I don't want much. And like, $1 million would be enough to like pay off all of my debt. Like all of it. And I'd have plenty left over. Which shoe do I want to go flying? I need to get a reference of a shoe. Hold on. Yeah. But like this, my director of operations, you know, of course he makes a lot of money. He comes from dual income households, so his wife also works. But he also has like 6 kids. Like, oh, was it? He was saying how, I think for Christmas he took his family to Disney for like a couple of, like an extended weekend, but they were gone for like a week because they drove down. And he's like, yeah, my kids are like still expecting, like, we just bought them like a new game console and we're taking them to Disney, and they're still like, well, what else are we getting for Christmas? And I'm like, what do you mean, what else? A trip to Disney should be gift enough. It's just like one of those things, like, tell me you're spoiling your kids without telling me you're spoiling your kids. Well, yeah, because here's the thing. I did, like, a basic breakdown of... Because, like, I did a trip to Disney not too long... Like, a couple years ago with my sister for her bachelorette. And the thing with Disney is that a day pass to one of the parks in Orlando is, like, $150 to $200 per person. as an adult. Those are the adult rates. I don't know what the kids' rates are. I know under 2 they're free. But I'm just like, I know how much that trip costs. And like, he was complaining like, oh, we have to drive, we're not flying. And I'm like, yeah, because there's like, what, 8 of you? And like the average price of a plane ticket is like $200 per person. I mean, your kid, like their youngest might be able to get away with sitting on your lap, so you don't have to pay for a ticket for them. But I'm like, yeah, just the bare bones cost of this is like several $100s. Not including hotel, food, souvenirs, you know. And it's just like one of those things whenever he's just like apparently he didn't know, like they were supposed to go to a trip to Mexico at one point, and he didn't know that you have to like arrive at the airport 4 hours early before your flight takes off, sort of thing, because he's like, I didn't know that. And I'm like, I knew that. And I've never flown internationally. I've only flown domestically a handful of times so far. So, like, I think shortly after he even started at the company, he was telling us like how like every week he like stops and gets like a toy, like a cheap toy for his kids. And he was complaining about it, and I was just like, you know, you want to know an easy solution to that? And he was like, what? And I'm like, don't do it. You can just stop. You don't have to get them basically a piece of plastic garbage every week. I'm just like, you could just not do that. So, I didn't get a toy every week from my dad, and I turned out fine. You know? Let's see if I have a pair of shoes in here I can use. Don't. Okay. There we go. I found reference. Oh, oopsie doopsies. I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. There we go. Okay, I gotta figure out how to draw this shoe. I think... I'm just gonna draw it over this, and then we'll fix it. Ugh. Well, maybe it's not even about, like, the toy breaking. It's more of, like, instilling appreciation for what you have into your kids. Because the fact that, like, he bought them, like, a game console and, like, a VR system right before Christmas, and they're still like, well, what else are we getting? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean, what else? That's it. Like, damn. But, you know. There you go. I'm struggling with this shoe. Okay, I think part of the issue is... Alright. Okay, that might help. Give me a second here. Oh, you. Hold on. Okay, hopefully... What? There we go. That might help. Just... Okay. Alrighty. God dang it. Another bot. Shrimpy, do your thing. Alright. I'm just gonna... I really need to practice drawing shoes, to be honest. Shoes are hard. No more bots around these parts. The only bots I want in my chat are Data from Star Trek. That's it. It's the only bot I will accept. Tobacco. get some shoes. Let's get some shoes. Hello, Callaway 667. Welcome. Okay. Okay. You know, I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. I'm just working on my webcomic. Alright, we're gonna cheat a little bit here with this shoe. Oh, dang it. Oh. Thank you for the follow. Okay. Smarter, not harder. I just need this to get down to size. Okay, that's close enough. And then we're gonna... Okay. Heels are always difficult. For me at least. That's why most of my characters wear like flat-soled shoes. Also, I personally cannot walk in heels. My ankles are garbage. Thank you for that hydrate, Callaway. It has been redeemed. Yeah. I probably should get better at drawing shoes. To be honest. But, you know. Time. I have been thinking about printing out like pages of reference, like doing like a collage of references from Pinterest, and then just like using my transparent sticky notes to do studies on those. Okay, that looks passable. Because like when I try to do studies, because I use Pinterest a lot for reference, is that I get overwhelmed by all of the detail that I need to like, at least for certain items, I need to go in and like break it down into basic shapes in order for my brain to comprehend. Okay, that looks pretty good, actually. Make the belt buckle a little bit bigger. Alright, there we go. That's something. I'm just trying to think of like how it's gonna... There we go. Now we're cooking. There's a reason why the shoe went flying. I'm not going to worry about his face right away because I have to do all the clothing and it might get covered up by the clothing. Some of my friends refer to Van Noren as a Disney. He's a princess. He's very much the damsel in distress in this series. Because I think having a male damsel in distress is funny. This poor guy is going to get put through the ringer, and I'm looking forward to it. All for our sweet, sweet character development. Oh yeah, is it the first panel he was in? Or one of the first panels. Hold on, let me... Yeah, it was in this chapter. It was when he was like on the ship reading the book. In like a robe. Well, Vinoran is very much like, he's a fancy boy. He likes his like fine linens and wines and silks and everything. He loves to read. He pretty. Yeah, he's a pretty boy. I think one of my first drafts of him, he was supposed to be like a merchant. Like of a merchant class. And then I decided, nah, I'm gonna make him like a lord. He's a son of a duke or something. He's like he's lower nobility. He's not like a prince or anything. No, no, like, yes, exactly. Cause like, eventually, I will do actual character playlists for everybody, but um, right now the comic itself has like a playlist on Spotify that is all just songs that have the vibe of like the characters or the comic that I'm going for. And so like the main song I have associated with Vinorin is Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. Cuz it's so him. It'll become apparent later why. But when I first heard that song in theaters when I saw Frozen 2, I was like, "Oh, that's my boy. That's his song." Cuz he's a princess. Kane has a song that's from Anastasia that is Journey into the Past. Or Journey to the Past? Something like that. That's where Anya's singing about how she doesn't remember who she is or where she came from. So she's heading off on, her own to, like, figure it out. Oh god, I saw Anastasia in theaters. The animated movie. I saw that in theaters. I went with my mom, my aunt, and my sister. That was like one of the movies my family didn't have on VHS growing up, but like it's a really good movie. My sister briefly dated a guy because like we very much were a Disney household growing up. We had like a lot of the Disney movies. We didn't have all of them. We had a lot of them. And like we'd go to the movies whenever a new movie came out, typically. And like my sister briefly dated this guy who hadn't even seen The Lion King. And at one point my sister was like, "Hey, so like who's your favorite Disney princess?" And he was like, "I don't know, I guess Anastasia." And I was like, "That's not Disney." And this was pre Disney Fox merger. So I was like, "That's not Disney, that's Fox." And he was just like, "What?" And I'm like, "Anastasia's not Disney, it's Fox." And also it was done by Don Bluth, who's got like mad beef with the Disney company for very legitimate reasons. I'm like, do not get me started on the history of animation, my guy. Do you want to sit here for hours? I mean, when I first started going to college, I wanted to study animation and, like, film. But I quickly learned I don't have the patience for animation. So... But I have a very deep appreciation for the art form. Like, there's a new Sony movie coming out next month, Goat, that looks really good, like visually really good, and the story looks pretty good. Granted, the story is just your basic like underdog sort of story with sports, but like it looks visually appealing and it looks like a fun romp. I'm looking forward to it coming out because I'll probably go see it. Like, I think it's like one of the same team. Cause like Sony did the Spider-Verse movies. They did K-pop Demon Hunters. So yeah, I think it's like the same production studio that's doing Goat, and it looks really good. And I'm just like right now, because like, I think even they did like the Mitchells versus the Machines, which is like a really good animated movie. And so right now I'm just like, okay, so anything that Sony Animation puts out, I'm gonna go see. Like, I'm gonna make an effort to go see it. Like, I've been passing on a lot of the Disney movies lately because I'm just like, I don't need to see a remake. Nothing else is really like. I think I saw Elio last year when it came out because it seemed interesting, but it was just kind of like, eh. Granted, I think that movie changed directors like 3 times. So, like, yeah, I'm just like, there are sometimes when I like go see a movie and then like there's like a tonal shift at some point, and then I go read up on the trivia of the movie and they're like, oh yeah, this movie had like 3 different directors, and I'm like, yeah, it shows. I can tell. Was it like 2 years ago when Wish came out? I watched it on Disney Plus. I didn't bother going to the theaters, and I pointed out to my mom, like, do you realize this breaks like the near 10-year streak I had of going to the movies to see the most recent Disney or Pixar film for my birthday? Because like the trailer was just like eh, and like the art was kind of eh. So when I finally like watched Wish on Disney Plus, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm glad I watched it on Disney Plus because I did not want to have to spend like money at the movie theater to see this. It was just not a single banger in that musical. Not a single good song. Like, it just reeked of corporate meddling to me. Which is really disappointing because it was supposed to celebrate like it was like the 100th film or 100 years of Disney. So like it was supposed to be like this big homage to like all the past films and everything. And I'm like, yeah, but it was like bad. And then I saw the concept art. And the concept art was so much cooler. Granted, concept art tends to be cooler than like the final product. It's very experimental and like explorative, whatever. It just like you're just exploring different contexts. Hi, Danimal, welcome. How's it going? I'm ranting and rambling about animated movies and my opinions on Disney movies in recent years. Oh shoot, it's 8:30 already? God damn, okay. Well, I guess I'll just finish sketching this. And then call it a night. I was, We'll get you, work on that college assignment. Pass that class. Time flies when I'm rambling. You get me going on any of my special interests or hyperfixations. You won't be able to get me to shut up. Just at the feet. Menora's gonna be put through the ringer, and I'm so excited. It's the start of his character development. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Well, the stocking is held on by a garter. Like it's buttoned to his pants, or his undergarments. Yeah, he's got like silk stockings on with like a fancy clasp to hold them up. I've done loose research into clothing. Nothing super serious. I'm very much the kind of writer / artist where I do like very surface level research on things, because I just don't want to get caught up in like, oh, it has to be correct, it has to be perfect, I have to get all these facts down. And I'm like, I just want to work on the thing. I'm not gonna sit here and like research how things are, like how certain dyes are produced unless it's absolutely necessary for the plot. Because I've had friends who got all caught up in like the world building aspect and like kind of just like worrying about stuff that didn't pertain to their plot, and I'm just like, there's a few people I was like, hey, like this is a cool detail, but is it necessary? Do you need to have this note here? Like, oh, there was like someone back in my Nuzlocke days where he was coming up with like their own version of like Common Writer, and like figuring out like whatever all the characters like handwriting looked like, and I was just sitting there going like, that's neat, but like, is it necessary? Like, cool, you're thinking this deeply about your little blorbos, but like, is it really that necessary? Maybe you should just, like, get started on the project? Just, like, that's the advice I even give to, like, kids when I'm working, conventions and they ask me about, like, getting started in comics. And I'm like, just do it. You're not gonna end up liking what you do half the time, like, what you work on after a while anyway. So you might as well just get started and start making mistakes sooner. Like, the sooner you start, the sooner you learn. You're always gonna get better. So just do it. Just get started. And I'm like, and I know that's very annoying advice, because I used to get, I got annoyed with that advice when I was younger. But I'm like, but it's very important. Okay, so for Venorin, I've had a couple voices in mind. The most recent one for a voice actor for him is I would love Rhys Darby to do his voice if this ever was animated. Because where Venorin's from is loosely based on New Zealand, for one. And also, Venorin's very heavily influenced by Stede Bonnet from Our Flag Means Death. Like, that show, that character really helped me solidify how pathetic this man is. Affectionately. Like, it really helped me figure out who Venorin is as a character. So I just think it'd be cool to have Rhys Darby voice him if there was ever a voice. But I also have, like, a friend who's getting into voice acting and acting, and I wouldn't mind trying to figure out which character he could play. But I'm also like, I wouldn't mind having, like, at least for my characters of color, I wouldn't mind having, like, voice actors whose, like, ethnicity or nationality, like, match the vibe of the character, because they're fantasy characters. But I'm like, I would like a person of color to play my person of color characters. How am I gonna... Okay, I think I got it. Do I got it? So, because, like, most of my characters, I don't really have a voice in mind for them. Their voice is just my voice. I have accents in mind for most of them. Because, Venorin has, like, a typically very posh, proper English accent most of the time. But, like, I think throughout the story, the more New Zealand, Kiwi dialect squeaks through when, like, he starts, like, loosening up and he's more casual with the rest of the team, he definitely loses the posh accent. Because he's like, I don't have to impress these people. So I can just be myself. I can have my Kiwi, my New Zealander accent. Um, and Valira has a more French Creole accent. Like, definitely more posh French in formal settings. But when she gets drunk, she's more Creole. For reasons. And then, Fenric is like a mix of Irish and like, Nigerian. Because his mom's an immigrant, so like she has a more African Nigerian accent. But since he grew up in a country that's based off of Ireland, he's kind of got a mix of the accents. He sounds very weird to some people. That's why he doesn't like to talk a lot. And then Kane has like can have a very thick Irish accent. All right. All right. Oh, I haven't sketched out his head yet. I need to do that. Yeah. Right? Like, yeah, I just had fun thinking about their accents are so much fun. I just can't really portray them in a comic, unfortunately. Because I have this fun trick, not exactly fun trick, but if I talk to someone with an accent, even for like a little bit, I will start to talk with that accent. So like, you know, I'm talking with someone with a southern accent, I start to adopt a southern drawl. Or I watch enough like British television, I might have a British accent for a little bit. Okay. Well, there was like one time as a kid, my family had to go down to Birmingham, Alabama for like a week because a relative had passed away. Which way was his stuff curling? And we were down there for like a full week, and my sister came back with a southern drawl that stuck for like 2 weeks. Almost done, I think. I know the hair should probably be going the other direction, but this is funnier. I hear a snowplow outside. Alright, I will There we go. Knocking the curl right out of his ponytail. I don't like this super cartoony eye. There we go, that's better. Alright, 4 panels out of 7 sketched. Woo! It's looking good. Alright, let's see who we're reading into tonight. Let's see. Let's see here. Anyone I'm following? Oh! Amy Rue is up. I hope she's... Yeah. Looks like she's doing Quarantine Zone. So we'll read into her tonight. I will be back on Friday with the art block. Hopefully it's not an entire stream of grinding again, but we will see. We have 4 Pokemon to get up to level 30 before we take on the Heart Home Gym. So, that'll be fun. Until then, have a lovely day, have a lovely night, and I'll see y'all again soon.